Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Welcome to the House of Scott, the latest entry in the Houselights series here on the Nerd Party Network. This week we're continuing our series on the historical epics of Ridley Scott, but viewing them in temporal order. We've jumped 100 years from the last duel to set sail for the new world with 1492 Conquest of Paradise. I am Darren Moser and am joined again by my friends Governor of La Isabela, Tristan Riddell, and the Queen of Spain, John Mills.
It was a long road to get here, but I broke barriers and I made it happen. There you go.
Not only a man and not a Spanish citizen. Whew, that ceiling is shattered.
You have absolutely no idea how good I am at playing the political game, Tristan. You just learned a lesson.
That's true.
I was just saying because you're over 40. That's why, because they make a major point about that in the movie.
I did outlive most of my rivals for the throne, honestly. So, you know.
But yes. So this is it. This is wrapping up our historical epic list. I don't think we missed any and don't have to double back like some of the other times. But this has been a lot of fun just viewing. And yeah, I think we talked about the whiplash this film is giving us because we are jumping from a 2021 film to a 1992 film. This film was released on the 500th anniversary of Columbus landing in the New World. Take that, Titanic, in your 100 years as nothing.
Yeah, 1912.
1912. Which I also realized this is an anniversary year for this film. It's 30 years since this movie has been released.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Yeah.
And I did watch the right film because also, like in the early 90s, apparently a lot of times you had two films of the same topic. And there was also a Christopher Columbus, The Discovery, which did really, really bad. Had Marlon Brando and Tom Selleck, $45 million budget, $8 million return.
I remember the ads.
Never heard of this.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I remember the ads for both of these.
It came out
a dueling
like
movies thing.
2 months before this movie and just got like trounced.
Who did Tom Selleck play?
I don't know, but
I don't care.
And I'm assuming Marlon Brando was Columbus?
Marlon Brando as Tomas de Took. I can't even pronounce his name. Tom Selleck was King Ferdinand V.
Yeah.
George Chronifus was Christopher Columbus.
So they went with a household name.
Oh, yeah, right. I mean, I had his poster growing up.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Okay,
I have his biography on the shelf.
They are saying they originally wanted Timothy Dalton, which is a little more understandable. But yeah, this one...
is it though?
Okay, more than George's. Okay,
you're right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, on that scale. But yeah, so this is, just like Deep Impact and Armageddon. You have dueling Spanish ships sailing in the night. But yeah, so we picked the one that did slightly better, but not that great at the box office.
As opposed to Deep Impact and Armageddon, I would actually say that these two films, even though I haven't seen the other one, more of a Volcano and Dante's Peak situation.
Yeah.
Where audiences were disappointed no matter what choice they made. So
I was going to go more Bug's Life and Ants, but you have a variety of decisions.
I will not have anybody on this show besmirch Dante's Peak.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just did, and I'll do it again. I remember seeing that in the movie theater, and it's like, oh, wow, man, he's getting crushed by the volcano. This is a really Oh, okay, he's fine. That's still bothers me.
He had a compound fracture that still rattles around in my brain. Like when he put the flashlight up to it, and you can see the translucent bone.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm a Volcano fan. I can't. Dante's Peak is great, but is not my favorite of the two.
I had a Dante's Peak themed birthday cake one year. That's how much I like the Dante's Peak.
You had a more troubled childhood than I thought. That's.
I'm not even making that up.
The thing is, I can tell this is going to be a fun one because it's another one where almost like they're subconsciously we're trying not to talk about the movie.
No,
think we're
I
tipping our
wasn't
hand
going to
here,
say it. I wanted to
gents.
see how long we could stretch it.
Yeah, we're a good 4 minutes in. But
Yeah,
we all
we're
watched
doing
the
all right.
right movie. We saw
Yes.
1492, Conquest of Paradise. Hopefully, the childhood rhyme of 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, lets you know what this movie was about, because that's a really kind of obscure title. If it doesn't even, I mean, I'm assuming they changed it because the other film was called Christopher Columbus, The Discovery, and God forbid you have two movies that say Christopher Columbus in the same calendar year. But
That would be confusing, especially if it was released that quickly. Like, I think
yeah,
having a title that doesn't have Columbus in it actually makes sense. It's funny how ingrained this stuff is in our brains, being raised in America. Because I asked my wife, like, when he finally set sail, I think like 3 hours into the film,
it did take a while. It did take a while.
The three ships were on the horizon, and I just randomly said, I was like, "Hey, baby, pop quiz. What are the names of the ships?" And without thinking, she's just like, "Bing, bang, boom."
We all know it.
Nina, Pinta, Santa Maria. It's just.
I can't do my taxes, but I sure know Christopher Columbus's ships.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you,
Yes,
American education system.
Oh, well, actually, honestly, more the Italian political machine that was trying to get respect for itself in the early 1900s helped with that too. So
true.
Yeah.
You brought that up. And then he became an American folk hero for some reason.
Because he discovered part of the Bahamas. I mean,
they were trying to get a seat at the table. I mean, in all honesty, like, setting aside everything else, it's like, why does Vespucci not get, Vespucci basically named the Americas.
I know.
Because, he was
America,
like, what are you going to call it? Name it after me. Okay. North and South, me. Ha, ha, ha. I rule it all. But, like, he doesn't get a parade or anything. It's like, what gives, man? I don't get it.
I hate that if you ask the average American, like, where Columbus actually landed, I'm sure that 60% of Americans would say Plymouth Rock.
Or Florida.
I'm pretty sure that 90% of the world can't identify anything on a map at this point. I mean, it's like they all go look on TikTok. And that's not me being like
that is
an angry
the
old
oldest
man,
thing you've ever said.
No, it is not the oldest thing that I've ever said. It is not the oldest thing that I've ever said because I read.
Be nice to the Queen of Spain, okay, Tristan?
Yeah, right? Come on.
Don't make
she might unfollow me on TikTok with her rap music and the Instagrams.
No. I'm talking about the fact that that people are using TikTok to do web searches now. They're like eschewing search engines in favor of looking for videos on TikTok. And I'm like, well, great. Hey, all right. We're past the event horizon at this point.
I make maps for a living, so I love geography in high school, and I think I got like a 98% on like the world. Like all you had was the list, so you didn't have to memorize all the names of the countries, but it was like a matching, and I got everything but two, which I had just swapped and transposed, unfortunately.
Honestly, it's all going to get...
This is my post-ganglionic fiber story.
I was trying to
Tristan?
think of what it was called. I was just like transnuric fiber, something like that.
Well, you are on the nerd party if you didn't know it, listeners, because the cuts are deep and wide. But back to the movie we're talking about.
Yes.
When was this? Was this the first time either of you had seen this, or did you catch it in theaters for that golden anniversary year in 1992? What did you say, John?
No. In 1992, I had no interest in seeing these movies. And so it was like, I'm the old man of the group. Like the whole time I'm sitting here watching this movie for the first time, I'm thinking to myself, there's a much better movie about American history and all the complex issues related to it that also came out in 1992. And it's the adaptation of Last of the Mohicans that Michael Mann did, starring Daniel Day-Lewis, which is a fantastic film. 5-star film. Go out and see it.
Brilliant 5-star film.
Little better than this. Well,
just a skosh.
Well, I think the reason you didn't like it, John, or weren't interested is, according to Ridley Scott, laid the blame of the movie's failure on Americans not understanding European accents. If they don't hear it from Texas or America, then they don't like it.
Okay, wait a minute. So we have a new baseline. We have a new baseline here because in our previous episode, he's justly trashing millennials, and Tristan gave him a pass because he's like, Ridley Scott, he's a directing legend.
He said
he's
this back in
8,000 years old.
92.
Exactly my point. 30 years ago, it's always somebody else's fault why his movies weren't a success. Come on, man, take a little ownership here. I don't like this.
It's true. I can't give him a pass for this one. That is some hardcore audience blaming.
Yes,
right there.
European accents.
That's cringe.
Seriously, like it's.
I was talking with
Sigourney
John before we started recording, where like there were times when I felt like I needed to turn on the subtitles for Gerard Depardieu, and I've seen Depardieu movies before, and I know the French accent. It's not like it's just because it's a European accent or a French accent. It's just in this particular film, Depardieu did not enunciate well, and he had a thick accent.
He talked fairly slow, so at least he wasn't like he was a very calm type of person for the majority of this movie. So it wasn't like rapid fire. But yeah, there were a few times where I'm like, subtitles, you're my only hope. Where are we going with this? But
this was, in my recollection, this is the movie that was supposed to be like Depardieu's big breakthrough for for American audiences, right? Because he was well regarded elsewhere, and so this was supposed to be his big crossover career making in the States sort of movie. So I'll give him a pass in regards to this. Is like, well, maybe there was just some sort of burden there for him that Scott as director should have taken into account and maybe gotten him a dialogue coach to say, okay, enunciate here. That's how these phonemes are going to work, and it'll make it better for audio and everything like that. So that's on Scott to work with him and do those sorts of things. But I think that, and maybe this is part of it, I think one of the biggest challenges is whatever charisma Depardieu brought to other roles before this one was not here. And I don't know if it was his challenge with the language. I don't know if it was Scott's direction. I don't know if it was a combination of this or that. But you mentioned, Darren, that he's very calm through the whole thing. And this is a character who should be, no matter whether you're going to cast him as a hero, cast him as a villain, there should be some sort of fire. Because this is a guy who's literally
there's wistfulness,
borderline crazy.
Not fire.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, John. It was I think that was a big struggle because I do enjoy Depardieu. As I mentioned before, I've seen other movies of his and I really enjoy what he brings to the table. But in this movie, I mean, I understand that he's a historical figure. No one knows for sure what on earth he was like, or like what he talked like, or his personality.
Give him long hair and that little hat we all know, and boom, that's Christopher Columbus. That's all we know.
That's the thing is that like even that portrait was done after his death,
right?
So we don't actually know if that's what he looks like. That's what's crazy. So we know so little about his affectations, and so you could put pretty much anybody up there, but he. Like John, like what you're talking about. This is a man who sailed into the unknown. Like he championed for it. He pleaded for it. He had a dream to do this, and your average citizen just doesn't want to do that, and doesn't drag other people along and lie to them saying it's only going to take 7 weeks, knowing that it's not going to be 7 weeks. There has to be some edge to him. There has to be some determination. There has to be some sort of not crazy, but something.
No, but the thing is, there's one scene in specific that really teases this out. That is super duper illustrative of what we're all talking about here, and it's the one where the other ship captain comes over and is like, "We're on the verge of a mutiny. They're about to kill and eat us. Right. Okay, we are up against it, brother. What are you going to do?" And he walks out and he gives this speech. It's like, "Hey, it's cool. You're being mean. That guy sings well. I'll give you this coat." And then the wind cuts up and it's like, this should have been like, this should have been Mickey coming out to talking to Rocky sort of thing. It's like, do you guys have any idea what we're doing? There's a blah, 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 blah. And then the wind hits and the guy's like, oh, whoa, you are lucky, because that was a hell of a speech and the wind hit at just the right time. Like it should have been that sort of scene. And instead it was just like, hey, don't. Cool.
Well,
right,
the wind
bye.
hit, so God wills it, right? It's a running theme of Ridley Scott movies.
Very true. Very, very true. Very true.
Now, so Tristan, was this also your first time watching this historical epic?
I thought it was my first time when I turned it on. And then as I was watching it, I was like, wait, how did I know that was going to happen? Wait, how did I know that was going to happen? Ah, crap, I've seen this before. And then
you're not talking about things like the 3 ships sailed, like things that everybody knows. How did I know
he was going to hit land?
How did I know he talked to the Queen of Spain? That's crazy. I must have seen this before.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just be clear.
No, it was, I think what happened was some childhood memories started rushing back where my parents were watching this film.
On TV or something.
I think they rented it. I think my parents rented it and we watched it. And because I remember the sailor with the cleft palate drenching himself with
kind of stands
seawater.
out.
And I remembered like him laying out the map in front of the Queen and everything like that. Like I just like bits and pieces here and there. Like I remember the bell in slow motion.
They spent a lot of time on that bell. It's like, and I'm like, wait. I mean, I know the second trip took like 17 ships, which is a lot of ships, guys. But I'm like,
that's a lot of ships.
That's a lot of space for that bell. Like that's a lot of bell space. So just saying.
They did spend a lot of time on that bell. And that was another scene where I was like, this is supposed to be like a big triumphant, I did it moment. And instead it's like, it's ringing.
Yeah,
cool.
Well, it also didn't really convey like time very well. Like obviously a lot of time has passed. I mean, I'm looking at these buildings and I'm like, yeah, I know they brought like, masons and carpenters and blacksmiths and all that stuff, but when they're inside, I know it's like the palace or whatever room they're in, and I'm like, this looks like Spain. And I know again, it's supposed to, but it felt like very furnished and very like modern for the time for a building that was just built. It didn't quite track in my mind. I'm like, wow, because I'm like, every single thing in here you brought with you because none of it is native.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 4 years, if
which
I remember correctly. Yeah. And that's I don't even know if that's from the movie.
Judging by his wife, who doesn't go or do anything for all of time and just he pops back in every 4 or 5 years into her life, which I didn't quite understand that.
Yeah, I don't quite get that relationship.
Yeah.
Why be married? Why? Oh, I guess he wasn't actually married to her. Never mind.
I mean, the thing is, but even this, what you're talking about, Darren, with, the conveyance of time and everything that's another thing where they spend all of this valuable screen time getting to what we all know is the inevitable voyage. And instead of having a fiery build up and coming in at a point of attack that gets us there just a little bit quicker so that we can spend the time there and have something a little bit more, if you'll forgive me, like a Colonel Kurtz-like sort of thing, watching him descend into madness because he's taken on a role that he's not prepared for, that he doesn't know what he's doing, that he's got all of these political influences. He picks up syphilis along the way. Like there are all of these things that would have been a really interesting movie to construct why everybody hates him, no matter whether they're native or back at Spain or anything. Everybody hates this guy's guts. And he's such a non-entity through the majority of this, and it moves so slowly that I still, at the end of the movie, don't get why people hate him. I'm like, he's a schlub. Like, and I shouldn't feel like that about him. I should either hate him or love him by the end of this picture.
I mean, we spent more time on the ocean in Amistad than we did in this movie,
right?
Which is literally about crossing the ocean.
Yes.
I honestly felt like, I mean, again, there's so many times when we keep saying, I don't mean to rewrite the movie, but then we rewrite the movie. Like, why wouldn't you tailor this in a more non-linear fashion? Like, start with the voyage and then, like,
cut
have
back
his troubles.
to like him getting
Yeah, have his
approval
troubles
for it.
mirror what happened in Spain, like where
Because it's
he
not
has
like
to
we don't
convince
know
the
he goes on
queen-
the voyage. It's not like we don't know that happens. You can
Like-
start with that.
You know what I'm saying though? Like
Right.
when he's trying to convince his men, he's just like he draws upon the conversation that he had with the queen, like things like that. And just going back and forth and like taking care of someone on the ship the same way they took care of his sons. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
No,
just
that's perfect.
spitballing here.
It's perfect. It starts with him and they're about to mutiny and they're literally about to toss him off the ship. Freeze frame. And he's like in the air.
Record scratch. I bet you're wondering how I got here.
Yes, that is the exact way we need to take it. There's nothing more 90s than that, Tristan. There's nothing more 90s. Not 1990s, 1490s than that. Yeah, and then it flashes back. I mean, I'm kidding because that'd be an absolute terrible thing to do in this movie, but hilarious.
But looking at sort of like Scott's style, like we've been saying, this is the first movie released in the real world, right? But chronologically, it's the events that happen latest of all of the timeline movies that we're dealing with here. I think that this is a terrific way to have approached this because I looked at it and I said, oh, I see everywhere that he's going to go when he comes to historical epics later. And what I find really interesting about it is I think that visually, editorially, all of that stuff, you see some of this baggage sort of strangely stay with him in Exodus, Gods and Kings. Gladiator, it's not so much there, but the color palette's very like you see this evolution where if you look at them in release order, Gladiator has an incredible script and so some wonderful photography later. And it's sort of you see he's sort of learned and adapted. He understands the need for some excitement that you need to have this character that people glom onto. Gods and Kings, he stumbles a little bit, but then you get to Kingdom of Heaven, and Kingdom of Heaven, that's the type of movie I'd expect him to make with 1492 now, or at that time. If he came at that material, I think we'd get something much more engrossing and interesting. And I see this as what's really interesting is he's an established director. He's a respected director. I don't think it's at the right time in his career. And I think that's what costs this movie so much. This isn't the right Ridley Scott for this movie. The Ridley Scott after Gladiator
2005.
That's the right
the 2000s.
Yeah. So that's what I think.
I think that's pretty fair. And I think that's pretty accurate. And I'm glad that we're talking about that with our last Ridley Scott episode because, so often I feel like we might have forgotten to kind of delve into that in previous episodes where we're just like, where have we seen Ridley Scott? And this is, I think, a great examination of where do we not see the right Ridley Scott?
Right. Because he would come later.
Mm-hmm.
I think a much more seasoned, older...
Seasoned. It's a terrible thing to say, though, man.
I think you're absolutely right, John. I mean, like, it's interesting because a criticism of that comment might be, oh, well, like if a director is older or more seasoned or something like that, then yeah, they're going to be better. But that's not necessarily always true because if you look at somebody like Scorsese, like the material that Scorsese captured in the 70s was right for the 70s. The material that was captured in the 90s was right for the 90s for Scorsese. But, like if you take Goodfellas and do it today, Goodfellas wouldn't be anywhere near as good if he did it post Gangs of New York, something like that, and so I think with this, 1492 absolutely would have been 100% better post Maximus.
Yeah. Well, there is also a lot of it's like, where are they trying to go with the religious aspects? I mean, you start with people being burned at the stake, and then you have kind of almost a you have the sail moment we talked about where, it's like a sign. And then towards the end, you have, I'm assuming is a hurricane that blows in and is very wrath of God, lightning strikes the cross of the church. And but it's almost, I mean, I wouldn't even say it's a theme though, because it's it's barely touched on by him, by the main character. Like, I don't feel like this is a religious man at all.
No. And that's what's so odd about the choice to make it a thing where he keeps saying, for God, we're settling this for God. Like it feels so genuinely dishonest on the part of the character that they're building here.
The character, yeah, because that's the thing, is that like the real Columbus, he utilized religion as a weapon in order to subjugate people, but we didn't get that from this character. We didn't get anything.
Right.
We just got platitudes.
Right. I mean, it's like we want him to be the good guy, so he can't hurt the natives. He can't do this. Like which ends up, he's just very beige. He's a very beige person.
But they touch on this thing where, again, they come so close to starting to explore that more interesting stuff. Like when you see him sending off natives to basically do hard labor back in Spain, and somebody challenges him on it and is like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, they violated the crown." But that should be conveyed with that madness, that childish anger sort of things. Oh, they betrayed me. They're going to go back there. And it's like, whoa, dude, like you kind of lost the plot here. What's going on with you? Which is why I think that I think we can all agree that Scott is, in some senses, captive to whatever script he takes on. There's not a lot of, like he doesn't have a Tarantino or Nolan level of ownership of the script. Would that be fair to say?
I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why I think
I would describe Fincher the same way.
Yeah. And it's that, for me, that's the sort of thing where if you're going to have a story like this, you need that auteur who's going to have a point of view about it. And we lauded Scott for not having a point of view in certain respects with like Kingdom of Heaven, or It's Essential for The Last Duel. Great. But it just makes the script that much more important. So maybe it's just at a base level, the challenge is that the script wasn't quite what it needed to be, but I can't fully fault it because I feel like the material is there. It's baked in. The fact that scene exists where he's sending people off in an unfair punishment for something hints at what the screenplay is trying to get at that point in his life. And it's more perfunctorily addressed. It's just there, as opposed to saying this is a bad thing that happened.
I think, like, to kind of piggyback off of what Darren was talking about with how we viewed the protagonist in the 90s was very different from how we viewed the protagonist in the 70s and how we view the protagonist today, where the protagonist in the 90s needed to be a paragon of virtue. Even if it was a historical
He can't get his hands dirty. He always takes the high road. You have, I mean, he's literally a mustache twirling villain. I'm forgetting the name, but like, I think it was like Moxica.
Played by the amazing and underrated Michael Wincott.
Oh, absolutely underrated. He's a fantastic actor.
He was so good at
anything he's in. I love him in.
Yeah.
And he literally is the foil, I'm going to do it this way and I'm going to, get results. And they're painting this picture of like, oh, if only this mustache twirling black hat hadn't been there, then everything would have been great for Columbus. And I'm like, but it wasn't that. We know that's not true.
I know. And that's the thing. And that's what kills me and I think like with what you said about protagonist, Darren, and John, what you said about Ridley Scott in the 2000s or even in the 2010s, I feel like it adds more credence to what you said, because you can have a protagonist who's an anti-hero. You can have a protagonist who makes horrible decisions. Protagonist doesn't mean good person. Protagonist just means the person of the story that you're seeing their perspective. And
it's
that's
their
the
name
thing.
If they're in Tenet. Like literally
right.
Their name.
And that's the thing, is that like, John, with that moment where he's sending people off for hard labor in Spain, we should have had that crazed moment. We should have had that spark, because this is a guy who introduced slavery to the Americas. And I feel like Scott and the writer and the producers and everything like that tried to sanitize it so much to make him a protagonist, to make him a good protagonist, a good guy protagonist, that we got no edge anywhere. Not even in character, but in substance.
Yeah. Yes. And what makes it surprising about Scott with that is we know that he's capable of having these oddly complex protagonists. Look at Blade Runner, which came out about 10 years before this. Is Deckard the hero? Is he a villain? What is he? Like people have still debating that to this day. Like what is Deckard? Who is he really? And so Scott's able to deliver a film that has that sort of challenging question there of he's going to make good and bad decisions. He's going to do these things, and it's up to you to just ingest it. And so that, I guess, would make it puzzling that we have a Columbus that is so milquetoast.
Well, the name, the name of the film, Conquest of Paradise, it sounds like, maybe I'm remembering it differently in the 90s, but like nowadays, we're like a hair's breadth from Columbus Day not being a day anymore, because like public opinion is very sour on him, and they want to make, and I don't recall if this has actually happened, but American Indigenous Peoples Day instead. Like, people hate Columbus right now. And so you look at, it's an anniversary year and it's this time to tell this story, but it's like, okay, if we're going to tell a historical story, if we know that he does these things, then show him doing those things. Like, he doesn't have to be the piece of virtue, but maybe it's like you said, Tristan, that's more of what protagonists were in the 90s.
Yeah, I think it's a victim of the 90s.
Well, it is a victim of the 90s because...
Could we just move the anniversary year then? No.
Well, the thing is, if you look at it too, flash forward 3 years after this, you have other dueling movies, Tombstone and Wyatt Earp. Now, Tombstone is a much better film than Wyatt Earp. Tombstone is one of my favorite films of all time. I'm pointing at the poster right now that I have on my wall.
And an amazing battle bot.
Yes, I adore Tombstone. I think it's fan-freaking-tastic. And Wyatt Earp is not. But Wyatt Earp is a complex portrayal of Wyatt Earp. He's not really a good guy. He goes on a journey. Audiences rejected it. And they were like, I don't really want to watch that Wyatt Earp. And instead with Tombstone, he's flat out virtuous at many points. And it's like, yeah, but that's the thing, is we all know the game. And back then we all knew the game. But you're going to show me a movie. People wanted to root for the main character. They wanted Luke Skywalker. They wanted all of these sorts of heroic figures presented to them if they were going to plunk down their $4 in an evening.
That's right. It was $4 back then. Yeah.
It was a lot cheaper. Cheaper to go to the movies back then. Oh my gosh. Yes. So yeah, don't get me started about that. I'll sound like a real old man, but let's jump to music.
I remember when music is 25 cents a ticket.
I remember.
Yes. Vangelis. This was supposed to be Hans Zimmer, but then
that's right.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Vangelis had worked with him on Blade Runner before. I think this music is completely wrong. I think the music is part of the reason you have a problem connecting with the character, because it's like, what is happening?
Wrong for this picture. There's so many times.
It's wistful. It's like all the music clicks with him staring off, and his arm reached out like as he's heading towards America.
Man, that is the third Star Trek reference.
They're all Star Trek references, Tristan. That's my
no.
secret.
Always
it's
has
true.
been.
It's just I've never really been a huge fan of Vangelis, and it's just I don't know. Like I dig electronic music, but not when you're trying to make it not sound like electronic music. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
Well, think of like Last of the Mohicans. You hear that score and you know exactly what you're hearing. It's memorable. It clicks to that visceralness of part of that story.
But even what's super interesting is that was originally the more electronic stuff that you hear. And then they laid the track and they were like, oh no. And they started redoing it and they just ran out of time to completely redo it. That's why there's like some that's why it's such a magnificent soundtrack, is it's got these, it started one way and it didn't get completely the other way. So it has these two wonderful things going on. And it's like, again, that came out in 1992. And if you want to watch something that deals with the complex issues of America, well, watch that movie instead.
yeah, I was going to say, we might have
you
to
know.
do House of Man eventually just
Are you
to
kidding?
do that movie. Yeah.
Are you kidding? Michael Mann's one of the best directors of all time, and I will fight somebody to the death if they disagree with that. I actually have on my computer.
If you try
screen,
to fight me, John, I'm just going to jump off this cliff.
right? Yeah, yes, and I will stand there and I'll go, bastard. Music's so important to a film, and it doesn't. There's so much about this that just doesn't click. It just doesn't work, and it's frustrating.
It's funny that you bring that up, because at the time of this recording, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show just ended, and I read an article where it was a deliberate decision that Deborah Chow made, the director, to use modern music as opposed to something that was Williams-esque, John Williams-esque, and so many moments fell flat because the music fell flat. And I've seen a lot of cuts online of people who have taken out the music and put in some John Williams standards, and you're just like, whoa.
It's like 10 times better.
It's 10 times better because the music is 10 times better. And it drives the moment. And this is one of those movies where if you cut 45 minutes out and then added some
only 45?
yeah. And you added some non-Vangelis music, like an actual orchestra.
Is really long.
Yeah, so much of this movie falls flat on its face.
This was as long as the Stranger Things 4 finale, and far less interesting, far less gripping. And the Stranger Things 4 finale, beginning to finish, I was like, there, and I was engaged with it and I was paying attention to it. And this one was I started drifting off at certain points. I was like, oh no, have to finish movie for podcast. Like I kept drifting off because it was like raining outside.
We've all
like
had
nice
moments like that with certain films. Like
but this was just
it's so funny that you bring that up, because when my wife and I sat down to watch the final episode of Stranger Things, we had no idea how long it was. We're like, 2 hours and 20 minutes. Oh my God, 1492 is 2 hours and 36 minutes.
Yep.
And that's not like Kenobi episodes where it's an hour, but it's like 20 minutes of credits at the
credits.
end.
And like who voiced Kenobi in San Juan, you know?
Yes. Pretty much. Yeah. I always find those credits are those credits, the international credits on streaming shows, more interesting than this film, I would say. Gauntlet's been thrown.
All right. Let's talk about Sigourney Weaver for a second. Again, interesting choice for Queen of Spain. Really interesting that they're kind of going in this direction of did anybody else think that they were getting married when all of a sudden they're walking down the aisle together? And I'm like, wait. Did Columbus marry the Queen of Spain? Because I totally thought that.
Oh my God, Scott's going off book.
Yeah, right. We know he doesn't care about history.
I totally thought that for a second, because I mean later he's just walking with her, but I'm like, it looked kind of formal for a moment in that shot, and
Sigourney Weaver was an interesting choice.
Interesting.
I don't even know what to say. She was just kind of there.
I don't understand. Look, when you do casting like this, right? Let's set aside every other issue. If you're going to bring a name like Sigourney Weaver, and the thing is, I go back and forth with a couple of friends of mine where you bring in a De Niro into a small part and say, why did they bother bringing in De Niro? And I'm usually like, it's stunt casting, whatever. It works or it doesn't. Who cares? But with this, the Queen of Spain is an incredibly pivotal, even though it's not a big part in this telling of the story.
Right.
Very pivotal. I should see, chemistry between the actor and the actress portraying the roles. And instead, I don't see Weaver really having anything to do that makes me think, oh, yeah, you had to get Sigourney Weaver for that. And again, to a movie we watched previously that was going to come out many years later, Exodus, Gods and Kings, same sort of thing where it's like, why is she even here? Now I know there's a lot on maybe there's a lot on the cutting room floor, which I don't ever want to see from 1492.
Release the Isabella cut.
Yes, right. An hour of Sigourney Weaver. That's it. That's in the longer cut.
I would watch that. I would watch that. And that's the thing is that like I think you hit it right on the head where it's not that like when you get Sigourney Weaver, use Sigourney Weaver because like you utilize her talents because she's an amazing actress. She's fantastic. I love her to death. But if you get Sigourney Weaver, then play to her talents, play to her strengths. And there was no, like you said, there was no chemistry with Gerard Depardieu. I felt the chemistry between Gerard Depardieu and Angelina Molina, his partner, Beatrix. I mean, I felt like that was there. Like you felt chemistry that they actually loved each other. But with Isabella, I mean, I'm not asking for any kind of love, but there's got to be some sort of fascination, at least.
Oh, okay, I know this is going to sound a little bit of a stretch, but we talked about Gerard being like, he's changing over to American films, like this is his break, like, but it's still, there's a bit of that disconnect because not that he's not American, but I feel like that disconnect could also be described as whenever you put like Roberto Benigni in something, like it's that different kind of connection where you always see that actor instead of necessarily the role that they're in. Does that kind of make sense? I mean, I know yes. I'm going to say Roberto Benigni, but I'm going to try to pronounce that around so you understand kind of what I'm vibing. I think the same way with Gerard. Like I
think that's true about Sigourney Weaver too, kind of.
Yeah, maybe a little.
You're like, oh, there's Sigourney Weaver, not Queen Isabel.
Right.
This movie was woefully miscast in so many roles. Why wasn't Armand Assante Columbus? Can anyone tell me that?
No, I think I wondered that to you aloud before this, where I was like, you have an actor who could have brought that fire, and he's a known actor, and he had some international cred. And
he did a lot in the 90s. Yeah,
but also the other Columbus movie has a complete unknown. Like Armand Assante, that's a respectful casting choice. And in the scenes he has with Sigourney Weaver, they have more spark than the scenes with Gerard Depardieu.
Yeah.
So it's like it is a very frustrating thing to look at that casting and say, "Oh my gosh, you had the guy right there that should have been the lead."
Or even do it, I mean, again, change history a bit. Have Armand go with Columbus. And like, they're like, so you have these two different viewpoints, like clashing and maybe like, Columbus is like, I got to be the one to sway the queen. And it's like, but you're not have them be business partners or something. Again, I know that's not history. But this was all about
a lot of this wasn't
true. But a lot of this was like he's just one man out on the ocean, just like I needed people around Columbus to interact with, and not just the black hat, mustache twirling obvious villain, but I wanted an Aaron to this Moses, and there was none of that in this story.
I think there are two key. I think one, you're very much on. I think you could have introduced a conceit like letters that Columbus was sending back, and Armand Assante reacting to them, so we could intercut more easily back and forth, where he's giving reports, and it starts off with him sort of covering. It's like, oh no, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine, and then the letters start changing. And he's like, this is getting concerning. He's in over his head and acting a little weird. Okay, we got let's send somebody over. Let's send somebody over right now. We got to take care. Like you can build tension that way and build up and even build some sympathy for Columbus as he's going crazy over in the islands. And so I think you could do that. I think you could have also
had a little bit of that at the dinner table scene where it was very clear of like, so he was having none of it. He's like, so where's the rest of the gold? And like, everybody's kind of looking at each other around the table like, this is it. This, which is the big twist. I mean, not like we didn't know it, but twist of this is not the Indies. This is not the gold's not pouring out of the mountains. It's a totally different continent.
And you could have also introduced more of this tension by simply having Columbus, as I'm sure probably really did happen historically, interact with the captains of the other ships a lot more.
Oh my gosh.
And have a lot of stuff where they're conveying, things might be going well over here, but I got to tell you, over there right now, guys are pissed. They're really, I don't even want to go back.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and lean into...
It should have been the first act of the film. It should have been the first act of the film.
Well, and lean into... I mean, we're talking letters because I think, Tristan, you pointed out that a lot of this came about from letters, or not letters, but the rediscovered accounts of this by his son, which again is, I don't know, the most reliable witness, but still, like, lean into that. Lean into the correspondence. Maybe pretend as if this is the lost, letters of Columbus that we never know that he wrote back to Armand. I know, again, that's the actor's name, not the character's name, but Armand, please send me more ships.
Dear Mr. Armand Asante. But no, like, you could even do it that way. Like, you could even liberate yourself from certain aspects of history if you lean into the son biography aspect.
That's true.
Where
this is the untold story of Columbus by his own hand. And we know it's not 100% because it's his story.
One of my favorite quotes from Alfonso Cuarón's Great Expectations is when the narrator is saying, like when Finn is saying, this is not how things actually happened. This is how I remember it.
Mm.
And if you want to free yourself from history, that would have been a perfect way to do it. Is you have an unreliable narrator. And I'm not saying you have to literally have a narrator, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's something like that.
But you can even, let's carry it forward to something like 300, where we're being told this story and we introduce... But to your point, right? Our narrator is quote unquote unreliable because it's Columbus's son. And they remind us at certain points, this is his son telling this story. This is from his son's point of view. And then the text that comes up at the end of the film where it's like, oh, by the way, this is taken from his son's diary. Turns out everybody hated Columbus to begin with. And it was after this got published, everyone was like, oh, I don't know, maybe he is a good guy. Like that, you got to front load that. You got to let me know before we get into the story where it's like, oh, I see.
Okay, when the movie started as a Marvel after credit scene. By the way, nobody liked Columbus.
When this movie started, and we got that opening text, where it's just like, in a world one man dared to dream.
Yeah,
and both my wife and I went, oh no, at the same time.
See, that's the other thing, because I think we've learned, like, historically, like, the whole flat earth round, like, that was already decided by the time
300 years before Christ.
So it's like that is, again, good job, American education system, but no, Columbus didn't discover the world was round.
No, the Vikings, the Vikings had made it over. There's a book I keep meaning to get to where I question it. I read what it was funded by, and so, like, I'm just reading it out of interest. But there is an argument that the Chinese made it to the west coast of America. That there are certain plants that grow there where they're like, oh, they probably came from over there. So, like, basically, people were landing here and had figured out. They just didn't know, like, how big the land mass was in between.
I mean, Europeans today still have no idea how big America is.
Yeah,
that's very true. That's very, very true. Yeah, it's like no. That's
You won't believe how big America
Yeah.
is. There's
That's
no
3,000
way
miles
of
away from me.
knowing
I'm not
how
worried about
large,
that.
gigantic, and
Yeah.
possibly huge it is.
yes, very very large, very large.
All
But yeah,
right.
it's yeah. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's
Oh, I think
Yeah.
one last thing that we always kind of do with long movies like this, what would we cut? Because it
Oh God.
so
All of it.
I'm going to give you a
Tune
moment
in
to
for part
compose
2 next week.
Yeah, I was going to say
yeah.
in 5 minutes or less. No, because this movie, I already like our ideas of kind of shaking it up chronologically a bit, using letters as a narrative device, but it's like, what is the climax of this movie? Is the climax of the movie literally him being forgotten and Amerigo getting the credit? Like what is the climax of this movie?
I think
I
it's
think
supposed to be the hurricane.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the climax is like him, like being like right before he gets kicked off, like and replaced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
Maybe.
It's just, I'm not saying it's a great climax. It just,
No.
Nothing
so
about
what,
this film
so
is
what,
great.
so what are we cutting? Are we cutting a lot of the pre and we're
Yes.
just, and
Oh my
Or
God!
maybe-
Yes,
cut a
kill
lot
the
of
first
build-up.
act.
Yep. Cut a lot of build up to the voyage. Cut certain things to make the back end move faster. Like, I think a truly judicious and fair hand could turn this into a TV movie and have it 90 minutes or less and just make it a TV movie event night. It was like on ABC in 1992,
500
Thursday night
years
special.
ago.
Yeah.
And
Tune in
I can
tonight.
hear
Tune
the
in.
ABC logo,
Right.
like the movie of the night, like the
Or-
Sunday movie of the night.
Or put it on CBS because they had the better intro in the 80s, at least, where the word special was there and go, and it would like spin around. That's
Maybe that's what
That
I'm
was
thinking
the
of.
one.
I think that's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking of. You're right. You're right.
that's the one that I
I always associate
It's a
that
dopamine
with
rush.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. The copies we
Yes!
have taped off had that
Yes.
special presentation, special da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Kinda-
connect it with
Almost sounds
Ten
like
Commandments.
a Cowboy Bebop intro, if I think about it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I
It
can hear
does.
that.
Yeah.
With Ten Commandments, yeah. Another sword and sandals. So, all right. So we're cutting a lot around. We're just shake and baking this whole movie to
New
make
score.
it work.
Different casting.
New
New
score,
score,
reworked
different
script.
protagonist.
Guys,
Yeah.
Yeah.
92 is not going to wait for no man. If we don't release this movie in its historical time, then nobody's going to watch it. Oh, guess what? Nobody watched it. And,
Nobody really did.
But-
Ironic.
yes. But all right. So, John, King of Spain.
Oh, wait. Now I'm
Oh,
a dual
that was
role?
a king.
I got
Yes.
both chairs. That's right.
Yep.
Kneel before me. You're gloriously.
You stand up the
awful
entire
potentate.
time, 1 foot in each throne.
That's right. Like
how
I'm
how many ships a sail are you giving 1492 Conquest of Paradise?
Hate to break it to you, but I'm giving it one ship, and I hope it
Ooh.
sinks.
Ooh.
One.
Ooh.
I hated this movie. I thought it was terrible on so many fronts. I just boo. No. Like, save yourselves. Don't bother. Don't watch. Like, in all seriousness, what did I give? I gave Exodus Gods and Kings 2 stars because
You
I'm like,
did.
yeah,
You did.
valiant effort at least, but woof, this is a total swing and a miss.
All right. So you're hoping you're on. It's like, so basically like Mel Brooks' 10 Commandments. You hope 4 ships went off in the beginning and one just didn't make it, and you were on that one, and you were out of your misery.
Done.
All right. What about you, Tristan? How many chopped off hands would you rank this movie?
Gruesome.
Oh
Oh.
man. Yeah.
Dude.
Which I'm assuming that actor did have a hand, because it's very obviously a fake hand when he puts it down. Very, very obvious.
It's elongated. It's
Yeah,
elongated.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they actually got an amputee actor.
I wasn't quite sure if they had just done that, but
Yeah, I have no reason to give this a 1. I give it another half star just because Ridley Scott tried his hardest. So I'm just gonna give it 1.5. Like, this is Walmart bin on my letterbox scale. Like 2 is bad, 1.5 is Walmart bin, and 1 is like, how did this get made? And I'm gonna have to go with 1.5. Like this is something that you should buy for $1 in a Walmart bin. It is so bad. Like when I went to watch it, it had a 3.1 on the ratings, and I was just like, there's no way it's that bad. It is. It is, guys. Don't watch this movie.
Rotten Tomatoes
we
was actually right.
Yeah, we've saved you from watching this movie. Don't do it.
Save yourselves.
As we talked about, horrible music, woefully miscast, structured like absolutely wrong. Just no. So wrong from the ground up.
Yeah, I agree too. I'm going to give it a 1 as well. Although I will say,
no, I don't want to give it a 1.5. Then I'm going to give it a 1. I don't want to be the guy who gave it a half star.
We dragged
more than
him
you
down.
guys.
We dragged him down.
No,
we dragged him down.
To borrow from the Joker, we had to pull him down to our level.
No, I'm literally changing in a letterbox right now because I refuse to be the one who gave it a half star more than everybody else.
Of anybody who Tristan loved it, obviously, by looking at our ratings. Well, but I will say though, it has been really interesting in watching these historical epics in, temporal order, because this is the first last, meaning this is 92. So this is the earliest of his works. And I mean, were we really not expecting when we jump from 2021 to 92 to see it improve? Like that would mean he'd been a worse filmmaker as the decades progressed. And we know that's not the truth.
Hey. Because if you compare, let's compare sci-fi works. Let's go from Prometheus to Alien.
True.
Okay. So
true.
Hey. Yes.
Hey.
So we get a lot of ebbs and flows. Okay.
But so I say bollocks to that opinion.
So are we doing Ridley Scott sci-fi epics now? Is that our next chapter?
No, because Alien Covenant and Prometheus are in that mix. No,
we're going to move away from Scott for a while. But
I don't mind Covenant. I don't like Prometheus, but I don't mind Covenant.
You don't like either one of them.
You're right. I don't. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, that wraps up our historical epics by Ridley Scott in temporal order, which has been a really fun dive into a director.
Not with a bang, but with a whimper.
Yes. But that's fun, and that's what I love about Houselights is that we talk about different directors. We shift it up into different decades or different ways of looking at it. Because you know what? It's like whose line is it anyway? The points don't matter, and we can do whatever we want as long as it's talking about film and enjoying it. But next week we're going to be moving into the 90s. Tristan, who are we? Who is getting the Houselights treatment next?
Well, we are talking about the one and only Jonathan Demme.
Demi.
Like I said, John Demme. We're talking about the one and only Jonathan Demme. We're only doing the 90s films of Jonathan Demme. And Darren, what is that first one?
That first one is 1991, The Silence of the Lambs. Little known film. You might have heard of it.
Some of you might have seen this before. I don't know. Hopefully it's good. I don't know. But we'll find out.
I don't think I've actually fully ever watched it.
And some fava beans.
Wait, what? Really?
I've seen bits of it, but I don't think I've ever sat through the entire. I'm not a huge horror person. I'm much more thriller and stuff like that. So
I'm straight up shocked.
I mean, I know a lot of the scenes.
I wouldn't even categorize this as horror.
I know the quotes,
it's
puts lotion on its skin or it gets a hose again. I know stuff like that, but I don't think I've ever seen this movie fully through.
Man,
no, wow. I would not call this like modern horror. Like I wouldn't call this a horror film. Like it's much more thriller.
Okay,
very theatrical, and
yes, very much so. Well, I'm extra excited to talk about it because Jonathan Demme has a distinct style, an absolute distinct style when it comes to his cinematography, his character work. This is director. I'm very much. It wasn't even my suggestion, but I'm very much looking forward to it because I think there's going to be a lot to talk about stylistically. And this is a director that doesn't get a lot of ink and doesn't get a lot of conversation around the podverse, and I think he should for good reason.
It feels like a McTiernan situation where it's like one of those directors their work, but you didn't know it was their work.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. This is actually a director that we analyzed in film school, And so maybe that's why I have a little bit more nostalgia than some, because I'm just like, oh yeah, like we analyzed his works for a reason. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to next week. And not just because we're going to review a good movie that's not a single star.
Right. It doesn't get a single star. Not one.
We won't know until we give it our rating next week on Houselights.
Love the suit.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.